Welcome back to Elite Compass, where elites come to sharpen their edge and navigate success. Today, we're exploring The Lean Startup by Eric Ries, a must-read for anyone looking to disrupt markets and innovate continuously. This book is not just about building businesses, it's about being smarter and faster than the competition. If you've ever wondered how startups succeed against all odds or how you can apply these strategies in your own ventures, you're in the right place. The Lean Startup provides a blueprint for piloting the uncertainties of building a new business, teaching us how to drive a startup without resources wasted, and how to learn what customers really want. It's about testing your vision continuously, adapting, and adjusting before it's too late. Stay tuned as we dive into the key principles of the Lean Startup methodology, and demonstrate how you can apply these to your projects and turn potential failures into spectacular successes. Let's get started. Background of the book. Imagine being on the forefront of innovation, where every decision could be the key to sky-high success or a sudden, crushing failure. This is the world of startups, a thrilling, high-stakes arena where only the most resilient survive. Enter Eric Ries, a man shaped by the very trials and triumphs of this volatile world. After co-founding an initially successful startup that later failed, Ries was haunted by a critical question: how can brilliant ideas and hard work still lead to disaster? With a resolve forged from failure, Ries embarked on a journey to decode the DNA of startup success. His quest led him beyond traditional business strategies to something more profound: the Lean Startup methodology, a blueprint that turns uncertainty into a navigable roadmap. The Lean Startup isn't just a book, it's a movement. Written to combat the waste seen all too often in the startup ecosystem, it empowers entrepreneurs everywhere with tools to test their vision, adapt to feedback, and deliver what customers truly want, continuously and efficiently. The goal? Transform how startups are built by integrating continuous innovation into their DNA. Ries's insights offer a lifeline, a systematic approach to navigating the unpredictable waters of entrepreneurship without sinking. Are you ready to discover the secrets of building a successful startup in today's frenetic business climate? Stay tuned as we delve deeper into The Lean Startup, the book that's redefining success for a new generation of entrepreneurs. Key concepts of the Lean Startup. At the heart of the Lean Startup are transformative ideas that challenge traditional business practices. Let's dive into these key concepts that are reshaping how startups find success. Start with why. Every iconic company you know began with more than just a goal to make money. They started with a why. Think about Apple, Tesla, or Google. Their why wasn't just to create products. It was to revolutionize how we interact with the world. In the Lean Startup, Eric Ries emphasizes the power of starting with why, a fundamental step for any entrepreneur looking to make a lasting impact. But why is this so crucial? Because understanding your why is what differentiates a company that feels like just another business from one that connects deeply with its customers and stands out in a crowded market. It's your mission, your purpose, and your rallying cry. When you start with why, you're not just launching a business. You're building a cause that your team and your customers can get behind. It's about inspiring everyone involved to commit, not just to a product, but to a vision of what could be. Your why guides your business decisions, shapes your corporate culture, and even determines which customers you attract and retain. So how do you identify your why? It starts with asking yourself some key questions. What am I passionate about? What change do I want to see in the world? How does my product or service fit into that vision? Answering these isn't just a box-ticking exercise. It requires deep introspection and clarity. Your why is your startup's heartbeat. It's what keeps your venture alive through challenges and what sparks innovation. Before you define what your product does or how it does it, anchor yourself with why it exists. This isn't just the first step, it's the most crucial one. Build, measure, learn loop. This is the backbone of the Lean Startup methodology. It's a cycle that fuels continuous improvement and helps startups avoid costly mistakes by making incremental changes based on real data. Let's dive deeper into each one. Build. In the world of startups, build doesn't mean crafting the perfect product right out the gate. Instead, it's about starting with a minimum viable product, or MVP. But what exactly is an MVP? It's the simplest version of your product that still allows you to start the learning process, gather valuable feedback, and validate or invalidate your assumptions with minimal effort and expense. Eric Ries champions the MVP as a fundamental strategy to reduce waste and speed up learning in product development. The goal here is not perfection, it's insight. By launching a basic version of your product, you can see how real customers interact with it, what features they love, what doesn't resonate, and most importantly, whether your business hypothesis holds water. Think about the first version of major apps like Facebook or Instagram. They were far from the feature-rich platforms we know today. Their initial releases were basic but enough to start a dialogue with their users. This early, stripped-down approach allowed them to build intelligently and efficiently, focusing resources only on features that their users truly needed. Building an MVP requires you to think critically about what is absolutely essential for your product to solve the problem it intends to address. Ask yourself, what is the core functionality that my product must have to provide value? What can wait? This process isn't just about building fast, it's about building smart. Every iteration, every piece of customer feedback, and every single user interaction with your MVP informs what you do next. This means your product evolves based on actual user needs, not assumptions. So start small, think big, and build fast. Let your MVP be the guide that drives your product forward. Remember, in the lean startup world, your first version is only the beginning of a journey fueled by feedback and iteration. Measure. Once your MVP is out in the wild, the next critical step in the lean startup cycle is to measure. But we're not just talking about any measurements. We're diving into actionable metrics, data that truly informs and guides your business decisions. In the lean startup, Eric Ries draws a clear line between actionable metrics and vanity metrics. Vanity metrics might look good on paper, think page views, downloads, or total users, but they often don't tell you what actions to take. Actionable metrics, on the other hand, provide real insights that can directly influence your strategy and lead to meaningful improvements in your product. For instance, rather than just tracking how many people downloaded your app, focus on how many of those users return after the first use or how many become paying customers. These figures tell you much more about customer engagement and the actual value your product delivers. Measuring effectively means being ruthlessly selective about the data you collect. It means asking yourself, does this metric help us make a decision? If not, it's just noise. Today, thanks to advanced analytics tools, startups can gather vast amounts of data. The real skill lies in identifying which pieces of data will help you learn and grow your business. It's about testing your hypotheses and systematically validating or rejecting them based on solid evidence. Embrace this data-driven approach. Let your startup strategy be guided by insights that are quantifiable, actionable, and closely tied to your key business objectives. Remember, the right metrics can shine a light on the path to scaling your business successfully. So measure what matters, learn from the data, and iterate toward success. Every number tells a story. Make sure you're listening to the right ones. Learn. You've built your MVP and measured the response. Now it's time to learn. This stage is where the true power of the lean startup methodology shines. It's about turning data into actionable knowledge that can pivot your product from good to great. Learning isn't just about gathering data. It's about interpreting it to make informed decisions that drive your startup forward. Eric Ries emphasizes that this learning process is iterative, meaning each cycle of build, measure, learn isn't just a step. It's a strategic loop that propels your startup towards efficiency and effectiveness. Consider what happens when you launch an MVP. You're flooded with user feedback, behavior metrics, and perhaps even direct customer emails. Each piece of feedback is a goldmine of insight, but only if you know how to extract and use it. Successful startups are those that can pivot their strategies based on what they learn. Did customers find your app's navigation confusing? Learn and redesign it. Is a feature in your product rarely being used? Learn why and decide if it needs enhancement or removal. This stage is about asking the right questions and being brutally honest with the answers. What is working? What isn't? And most importantly, why? This requires a mindset that isn't afraid to challenge assumptions and embrace change. Each loop of learning refines your product and your approach. It's not about failure, it's about speeding up your success. Every iteration teaches you something new, whether it's about your product, your market, or even your operational tactics. So, harness the power of learning. Let each cycle make your startup smarter, leaner, and more in tune with your customers' needs. Remember, a startup that learns fast, grows fast. Pivoting. Now, let's talk about one of the most crucial concepts in the lean startup methodology, pivoting. Imagine reaching a crossroads where continuing down the same path might lead to a dead end. This is where the art of pivoting comes into play, a strategic shift in direction that keeps the core underpinnings of your business intact while realigning your tactics to meet market demands more effectively. Pivoting isn't about starting over. It's about responding to feedback and leveraging what you've learned to make calculated changes. It's a nuanced shift that might involve changing a feature, altering your product entirely, or even targeting a different customer segment. Consider how Twitter started as audio, a network where people could find and subscribe to podcasts. When iTunes moved into podcasts, audio's original concept was at risk. The team used what they learned about real-time communication and pivoted to what we now know as Twitter, which is now X. Pivoting can take many forms. A zoom-in pivot focuses on what was previously a small feature but becomes the main product. A customer segment pivot shifts the focus to a different group of users who may better appreciate the product. Each type of pivot is a response to learning what your customers truly need and how they perceive value. But how do you know when to pivot? It's about reading the signs. Are growth rates consistently disappointing? Is user engagement lower than expected? These indicators, when backed by solid data, might suggest that a pivot could lead to greater success. Embracing the possibility of pivoting does not mean your startup is failing. It means you're agile and responsive. It's about being fearless in the face of changing tides, ready to steer your venture in a new direction that promises a better fit for market needs. So stay nimble, stay observant, and be ready to pivot. It's not just a survival tactic, it's a growth strategy that could turn potential failure into phenomenal success. Innovation accounting. Moving from pivoting to perfecting requires a solid grasp of innovation accounting. This isn't your typical accounting. It's about understanding and measuring progress in a startup environment where traditional benchmarks often don't apply. Innovation accounting is fundamental in the lean startup framework. It's the method you use to evaluate whether an iteration is moving your business closer to your goals. Instead of looking just at profit margins or sales, this approach focuses on learning and growth metrics that are crucial for making informed decisions about your product and strategy. Think of innovation accounting as your startup's navigation system. It helps you determine if you're on the right path by setting up actionable metrics, establishing how to measure them, and, most importantly, deciding what to do if they don't meet your expectations. Start by identifying which metrics genuinely reflect the value your product adds to your customers. Next, establish a baseline. Where are you now? Then, set milestones that will indicate progress towards your ultimate vision. As you launch your MVP and begin gathering data, use this baseline to assess your growth. Are users returning? Is customer acquisition cost going down? How are your conversion rates improving? Answers to these questions form the backbone of your strategic decisions. Innovation accounting is not just about reacting to the present, it's about predicting and preparing for the future. It enables you to pivot with purpose and refine your strategy with precision, ensuring that every step you take is a calculated one towards greater innovation and success. Embrace innovation accounting to not just survive in the competitive startup landscape but to thrive. Let it guide your journey from a promising idea to a market-leading innovation. Remember, in the fast-paced world of startups, knowledge isn't just power, it's progress. Real-world applications. The lean startup methodology isn't just theory. It's been the backbone of some of the most dynamic and successful companies today. Let's dive into how these principles have been applied in the real world, transforming ideas into successful enterprises, and see what we can learn from both triumphs and setbacks. Consider Dropbox, a company that began with a simple video demonstrating their product concept. This MVP approach helped validate customer interest before they developed the full product, leading to massive user sign-up and minimal initial development cost. Then there's Airbnb, which turned a necessity into a business model. The founders started by renting out air mattresses in their apartment during a local conference when hotels were fully booked. The feedback and demand from this simple test laid the foundation for what would become a global phenomenon in hospitality. But it's not all success stories. Consider the case of a tech startup that aimed to revolutionize social media interaction but failed to pivot based on user feedback. Their initial concept received lukewarm responses, yet they pushed forward without significant changes, leading to poor user engagement and eventual shutdown. The lesson here? Ignoring customer feedback can be costly. This startup's failure underlines the lean startup principle of build, measure, learn. Had they listened and adapted, they might have saved their project or steered it in a more promising direction. Back on the side of success, let's talk about Zappos. Initially, the founder validated the online market for selling shoes with a simple but effective MVP. He photographed shoes from local stores to see if people would buy them online, buying only after orders were placed. This risk-reducing strategy helped Zappos grow into a billion-dollar behemoth. These real-world applications of lean startup principles show us the power of starting small, listening to customers, and being ready to pivot. Whether it's creating a minimal viable product, leveraging user data to drive decisions, or knowing when to change direction, these stories inspire and instruct. Remember, every startup journey is unique, but the core principles of the lean startup approach, embracing learning, adapting swiftly, and always iterating, remain your guideposts to navigating the challenging waters of entrepreneurship. How to implement lean startup principles? Ready to transform your startup with the lean startup methodology? Let's break down the steps to implement this game-changing approach, ensuring you stay agile and responsive to critical feedback along the way. Step 1. Define your vision. Start by setting a clear, strategic vision for what you want to achieve. This isn't just about the end product. It's about the impact and change you envision for your customers. Step 2. Map out your hypotheses. Identify all assumptions underlying your business model. Which are most critical? How will you test them? Think of this as laying out the experiment for your business. Step 3. Build your MVP. Create a minimum viable product. This isn't the final product. It's the simplest version that allows you to start the learning cycle. Your MVP should focus on testing the most critical hypotheses from Step 2. Step 4. Measure. Collect data rigorously. Use analytics tools to track how users interact with your MVP. What do they like? What do they ignore? Measure these interactions precisely to gather actionable insights. Step 5. Learn and pivot, or persevere. Analyze the data. Does it validate your hypotheses? If yes, continue to develop and refine your product. If no, pivot. Change your hypotheses based on what you've learned. Now, maintaining flexibility and responsiveness throughout this process is crucial. Be prepared to adapt your strategies based on feedback. This means not falling in love with your first ideas but being willing to change them when the data suggests a better path. Numerous tools can aid in applying lean startup principles effectively. Analytics platforms like Google Analytics and Mixpanel help you measure how users interact with your product. Survey tools like SurveyMonkey and Typeform allow you to gather direct feedback efficiently. Project management software like Asana and Trello ensures your team stays on track with each pivot and iteration. Implementing lean startup principles isn't just a methodology, it's a mindset. It's about being systematic in your approach and relentless in your pursuit of learning and adapting. So take these steps, use these tools, and build a startup that isn't just built to last but built to adapt, evolve, and thrive. Pros and cons of the lean startup method. While the lean startup approach accelerates development, reduces risk, and enhances adaptability by emphasizing customer feedback, it's not without its challenges. Critics point out that it may not suit industries with long development cycles, can lead to focus loss due to frequent pivoting, and might overly cater to early adopters at the expense of broader market appeal. Conclusion. We've taken a whirlwind tour through the Lean Startup by Eric Ries today, uncovering the revolutionary principles that can transform how you approach building a startup. From starting with a clear why, building a lean minimum viable product, to measuring what really matters, learning from every interaction, and knowing when to pivot, these strategies are designed to drive your startup towards success more efficiently. But this is just the surface. Eric Ries has packed the lean startup with insights, stories, and strategies that can change the way you think about building businesses. I highly recommend picking up a copy of the book for a deeper dive into each concept. It's an invaluable resource for anyone serious about innovating faster and building a business that lasts. Did any of these principles stand out to you? Or maybe you have an experience with lean startup methods you'd like to share? Drop a comment below. I'd love to hear your thoughts and experiences. If you found this summary helpful, give it a thumbs up, and don't forget to subscribe for more insights like these. Hit the bell icon so you won't miss any of our future videos. We're here to help you navigate your path to success with practical advice and proven strategies. Remember, building a startup is a journey filled with challenges and opportunities. Using the lean startup methodology can be your roadmap to navigating this journey more effectively. So take what you've learned today, apply it, and start building a future where your visions come to life.